Department conducted a homicide investigation into the death of Mr. Salazar. 8 boxes of material, which you'll find behind me, were eventually generated as a result of that investigation, and it was those boxes that became the source material for our review. It is apparent from those reports and the coroner's report that Mr. Salazar died as a result of being struck by a tear gas projectile shot into the Silver Dollar Cafe as he was sitting on a bar stool. It is also undisputed that this projectile was shot into a darkened bar with a dozen or so people inside and a curtain obstructing the deputy's view. The round struck Mr. Salazar in the head, killing him instantly. It is apparent that this literal, unfortunate shot in the dark by the deputy caused the death of Mr. Salazar. Our review also found a number of significant tactical, decision-making, and weapon choice errors by the responding deputies, at least viewed through the prism of modern-day policing. For example, the flight right missile fired into the bar was not designed to be shot into a curtain-draped doorway, but was designed to be shot through a barrier such as a door for the purpose of forcing barricaded suspects to surrender. The deputies were facing a riot situation, and they had not been trained to prepare for this in the same way today's deputies are trained and equipped. Still, had the tactical mistakes noted in our report have been avoided, the unfortunate chain of events that led to Mr. Salazar's death might have been interrupted. The evidence found in the homicide reports does not support a theory that Mr. Salazar was targeted, followed, and intentionally killed that day. While there is one reference in the file to Mr. Salazar allegedly spreading bad rumors about the Sheriff's Department and a subsequent request to review his press pass, there is no evidence that anything came of this request. To the contrary, the series of tactical errors detailed in the report rather definitively point to a hashed-up operation in a sea of chaos that resulted in the death of Mr. Salazar rather than a deftly designed operation. If the Sheriff's Department had been intent on targeting and killing Mr. Salazar that day, one could think that they would have chosen a strategy that had a better chance of succeeding than taking a random blind shot into a darkened bar with a not particularly accurate weapon. Despite the fact that no evidence from these 8 boxes supports the theory that Mr. Salazar was targeted, there will undoubtedly be some who may continue to hold these beliefs. This is not surprising, considering the state of race relations during that era, particularly between law enforcement and people of color. That distrust lingers for some up to the present day. While law enforcement has made significant strides to repair the damage caused by those turbulent times, it is yet to completely regain the trust of all persons within its communities. It was a privilege to have the opportunity to review the historical typewritten documents, photographs, and other information included in the 8 boxes. Recently, there has been a call to make this material available to scholars, the media, historians. I learned yesterday that after much deliberation, the sheriff announced that his department will make this material available for review. In the upcoming days, and this is a work in progress, we will coordinate a method through which interested parties will be able to sit down with the documents contained in these 8 boxes. As a champion of transparency, I applaud the decision of the sheriff to make these materials available. Allowing the public access to the material that has been held close and guarded for 40 years is a decision in the best tradition of good government. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Director, could you please, you mentioned that there was something contained in the box that was dark rumors. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What were the rumors that the Sheriff's Department was trying to create?
There's no explication, sir, Mr. Watkins. There's no explication with regard to what rumors were being mentioned. It's really just a handwritten note accompanied by a copy of Mr. Salazar's press pass. There's nothing in the boxes that elaborate on that. If I was a homicide investigator 40 years ago, I'd have wanted to learn more about that. And that's one of the problems with this review, is that we're limited by what's in the boxes. So questions that probably should have been asked 40 years ago were not asked by homicide. And it's, 40 years later, and now we're trying to go back 40 years and reconstruct information. But all we have left is what you see behind us.